From the belly of the Beast Coast, Glastonbury, Connecticut, this is the Cultra Trail Running Podcast. We talk about all the fun shit that happens on the trails that most normal people don't care about. The language we use is fucking explicit and raw like the trails we run on, so don't listen with your kids! Cultra is brought to you by our Patreons and supporters, and we are 112% listener supported, and support is good.
All right. Welcome everybody to the Cultra Trail Running Podcast. I'm your host, Art Byram, and I am joined by a member of the Cultra crew, my co-host, Anna G. How you doing, Anna?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Art.
And good morning to you, Anna.
Good morning. I'm pretty sure I'm sure we've seen each other, this early in the morning, but not on the podcast, but in person, doing some running adventure.
That's right. I think maybe at Patrick Heron's race once.
Oh,
maybe
yes,
at Stone Cat.
That is correct. Yes.
that would qualify. So, Anna, are you excited for today's guest?
Oh yeah, I'm super excited because last weekend I was just paying some attention to the race, Eastern States, and the result was amazing. So I'm really excited to have the overall winner of the race and the new record holder, correct? Kaylee,
yes.
Eastern States here. So I'm super excited.
Yeah. So just to kind of give her a quick introduction, our guest has been doing ridiculous things in ultra running since she was a teenager. And actually before then, Kaylee Frederick became the youngest female finisher of Badwater 135. But she's kind of beyond being just the young ultra runner at this point. She's become one of the East Coast top ultra runners. And she, as you mentioned, she just went to Eastern States and did something pretty special. You mentioned she didn't just win the women's race, she won the race outright. So setting a new women's course record and becoming the first woman to break 24 hours there. And at the same time secured the Pennsylvania Triple Crown. So today we're going to talk about that race, her evolution as an ultra runner and what's next, and hopefully get to find out what makes her tick. So Kaylee Frederick, welcome to Cultra.
Hi guys, thank you very much. I'm very excited to be on. I really appreciate it. And I'm excited to talk about running because I'll never pass up an opportunity to do that.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. If somebody could be talking about humming or sunning, and I'm like, did you say running?
Yeah. So, wait, did you say something about running?
That's right. Yes.
Well, isn't it convenient then when we run together for a long time, we can talk about running the whole time? I mean, it's just great activity for talking about running.
Very convenient.
It definitely is. So let's start out with some of the weird things going on in our lives right now. So Kaylee, where are you calling us from today, or where are you right now?
I am in Auckland, New Zealand.
Yeah, right. Wow, that's I was gonna find out what the nickname for that area is. So you're not down under, but it is kind of. Do they consider that down under, or is that down under and a half? Is that ultra down under?
I couldn't tell you. I've only been here for 3 days, so
Yes.
I don't know too much yet.
Gotcha. So right now it's 9 p.m. your time, I think, right?
Yes. And
Which makes. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was saying it's really early your time. It's 5 a.m. your time.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, the sun is not up yet. It's 5:05 a.m. and we're excited for this. This might be my new regular now. So we'll have to see how this goes today. So
You just have to create a fund so you can fly people to New Zealand.
yeah, that's right. Yes, we need to go experience New Zealand firsthand. So come on Patreon. So I guess maybe we always usually the first thing we like to do is to kind of find out where people started and find out what their childhood was like. So with all joking aside, we were going to lay a childhood joke on you. Well, we're still talking to you in your childhood, but that's kind of I shouldn't even, I don't even know why I'm saying that. So maybe you could kind of tell us where were you born, and maybe we can start there.
Yeah, that is very loaded question all over. But I
Mm,
am from a very small town in Pennsylvania called Johnstown, and I still live there, and I've grown up there my whole life. It's not far from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, if you've heard of that. So yeah, born and raised Johnstown, Pennsylvania.
very good.
Yeah.
Um,
And has your family, I mean, are your family a group of runners or your parents?
No, not really. So I started running when I was 7 years old. Just my mom was doing this like couch to 5K program, and I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, I'll go with you. Like go run around the track or at the local park. And so I got really into running whenever I was only 7 years old. And I would be running 5Ks and 10Ks, and I thought I was the best person in the whole world. I was this little 7-year-old and 10-year-old running around, doing these local races and stuff. I had no clue there was really anything else out there. And then it wasn't until I was a little bit older that I got into the actual distance running, and then my life completely changed. This sport completely
mm,
changed my life.
Yeah. I would love to
gotcha.
know, like, if you remember the feeling of like what gave you joy when you were so young and you were running, because, a lot of kids like to run around. Obviously, they like to play soccer or whatever, games and things like that. But when you make it formalized, I feel like plenty of kids are like, oh, this is something different and it doesn't feel as fun. But obviously, you found it really fun because you started with a 5K and I think you did a marathon, 50K and 50 miler when you're 14. So between 7 and 14, you were feeling something that other people maybe don't feel. Like, can you describe that?
Yeah, so I feel like whenever I was like very young, I'd say between the ages of like 7 and 12, I really liked competing. So I would compete at local 5Ks and 10Ks, and I just really, really enjoyed that feeling of competing and feeling fast. I like to run fast. Um,
Mm,
and then whenever I was 13, my one of my elementary school teachers invited me to run a half marathon with her. And I was like, girl, absolutely not. Like, are you insane? Like, I genuinely didn't realize that normal people can do half marathons. I thought only the Olympic runners could do that. I didn't know that was for real. And she was like, no, we'll go, we'll have fun. We'll go slow. If we need to walk, we'll walk. Like we'll have a fun time. And I really didn't believe her. Like a half marathon, like we're gonna have fun. It just did not make sense in my head. But I agreed finally, and I feel like that really opened the door for me. And I was like, wait, she was right. That actually was that was really fun. And then it just opened the door then when I was 14, I started looking for marathons, and it was very hard to find a marathon that would let me in with because most marathons have an age limit of 18.
mm.
But after I found one, I was like, wow, like there's so much out there. And then I realized that their ultra marathons were a thing, and I just kind of knew I was where I was supposed to be. I feel like it's a very weird feeling to describe, especially as a 14-year-old, just having this overwhelming feeling of like, this is what I'm supposed to do with my life. And I was only
Oh,
14
wow.
years old. Like, it's something I can't completely describe, but I just knew that the sport was exactly where I was supposed to be and where I was going to end up.
Yeah.
Very.
It's interesting because, like, you obviously were quite a bit younger than other participants. And I'm really curious to know, like, how you felt your interactions were. I mean, perhaps some people were skeptical, but like, you're in a community of, a lot of times like 40 to 50-year olds, right? And
60
you
year olds, yeah.
obviously in 60 years, you felt comfortable there, like you felt comfortable to um go for what was giving you joy and for competitive reasons or just I like to run fast reasons, but you obviously felt comfortable in this diverse age group of people. Like that is just what I find really interesting. Anybody with kids will be like, there are some kids who, do really well with adults, but a lot of kids are like, I'm not hanging out with you, or, just not
Mhm.
that comfortable, but you obviously are like, we're comfortable. I'm just really impressed and kind of interested in that dynamic, like socially, because you're running along these people who, you're, who could be your like grandparents, basically. So interesting. Yeah, I don't know if you want to
Yeah,
comment on that, like part of it, but
I feel like whenever I grew up very fast, there's a lot that happened to me whenever I was very, very young that forced me to grow up really fast and mature very fast. So I feel like even at a young age, I was a lot more mature than most people my own age. I didn't really get along with people my own age just because I feel like on a
Mhm.
maturity level, I was not a 14-year-old. I was a
oh, okay.
14-year-old, but I was not a 14-year-old. So getting along with adults was kind of what I did. I was like, wow, these are my people. They like to run. And like, I feel like the maturity level, obviously, as a kid, I was still a kid. I was definitely still more mature than them and everything, but it definitely evened out.
Mhm.
And I didn't really think of it as oh, I'm talking to adults. I was like, I'm just talking to other people. For
Mhm.
me, it just kind of flowed really well. And I'm sure for them, they were like, they probably thought they were talking to a kid just because I was very much so much younger and even just like looks wise, I looked like a little kid out there. Um, but I feel like most people were pretty accepting of me and they treated me like I was supposed to be there. I had a lot of backlash, but for the most part, everybody was very accepting of me in the sport, and so that made it a little bit easier too.
Sure, sure. I know that prior to your running, I think you had some there was a lot of family trauma and things like that. Are you comfortable talking about that, or would you rather not this morning or
Mm,
today?
Yeah, I'm an open book. I'm
Oh,
here to share
okay.
my
All right.
story. So,
Sure, sure.
um,
Because I think that from the outside that may have it seemed like that affected your um some of your in some cases some of your purpose in running. I know so I guess what we're talking about is you lost your father at age 6, right?
yes, yeah. And I feel like losing my father at the age of 6, like at such a young age, I think that very much influenced the start of my running. And whenever I got into ultramarathon running, initially, I feel like that had such a huge effect on why I was out there and what my purpose was in doing it. I
Mm,
really wanted to, as a young person, I wanted to make him proud. When I was 14 years old and I was running a marathon and then a 50-mile race, and then I found a 100-mile race for whenever I was 16 years old. Like, I just kept thinking, like, maybe one day I'll do something big enough that he'll see wherever the heck he's at. Who knows what happens when we die, but he'll see and
mm,
be proud and think that's my daughter. So I feel like whenever I was younger, like genuinely that was such a big push for me to um make him proud wherever the heck he's at. And as I've gotten older, I've learned a lot more about my father and who he was as a person. Realized he wasn't really a great person. He was into like a lot of very unhealthy things like very heavy drug addict and alcohol user. So
Hmm.
as an older person now that understands what kind of person he was, deep down, I know I still want to make the man proud. He's still my dad, but I feel like I can
mm.
advocate more on the fact of just like um going in a healthy direction of running and advocate for those healthy coping skills that aren't like that. So I feel like now it's like I did all of this without him and I can advocate for healthy alternatives and help other people if they're struggling with that. But I think deep down, I'll still always have that drive to make someone proud, even though I don't even really know who the man is. But I feel like it's had a very big effect on me, and it's been a very interesting shift to have to kind of go from this idolized man of, oh my gosh, like he's my father, he's everything, to where I am now, like realizing who he actually was. So it's been very difficult over the past like I'd say like 3 or 4 years, kind of realizing all of that. But can't say it's had a negative effect on my running. It's just kind of shifted my outlook, is all.
Yes. Yeah, Kaylee, you are mature beyond your years there. So I lost my father a couple of years ago as well. And I went through what sounds like the same exact struggle is that like, well, my father, and my father was an active alcoholic when I was younger, and he got into recovery. So, when you grow up with an active alcoholic, there's a lot of stress and trauma and um, issues in your life. But then on the other hand, my dad was, I had to to grips with the fact that yes, my father did some things when I was young and even through my adult years that were not what I considered to be the best things on how a father would act. But then at the same way, like he did those negative things, but he also served as a role model for recovery, and he helped a lot of people, and he made all these toys for us and made part of our childhood like magical. So coming to terms with that, he's not a good person or a bad person, he's both, just like we all are, like he's done really great things, and I love him, but he still traumatized me. So coming to terms with both of those things, that they can both be true, that I don't have to say, I would flip-flop between the two, like, oh, he was good, oh no, he was bad, oh no, and he was both, as we, as most things are. So um the fact that you're very much in touch with that now, and can approach life like that, I think is wonderful. So
Yeah,
thanks.
I was gonna say
Yeah, just
that was a super moving. Yeah. What were you gonna
yeah,
say?
thank you
Like,
for sharing that.
yeah. And it's interesting because you have people who get into the sport who have their own internal struggles, and that's like part of perhaps why they enter into a sport where they can focus on this like healthy habit. And you're in an interesting position where you have been healthy, since you were 7, but you've got this like other feature or character in your sphere who had the unhealthy habit. So I find that just an interesting. I thought that was interesting what you just said, because it's not you, but it's like part of you. And and also, he did. Uh, your father did have you, and you seem like an incredible person. So you think to yourself like, there must have been something good about this guy, because here you are like doing amazing things. So, but I really appreciate how that motivated you initially. I mean, that's an incredible motivation at the time, because you idolized him and all that. And this journey of now, you know, thinking about it a different way must be also, yeah, motivating. Anyway, I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It was a very interesting and difficult transition to get to the point where I am now, where I've kind of accepted where I'm at and who he was. There was definitely a point in time and there a couple of years ago where all I felt was like hatred towards the man, and it
Mhm.
that was really hard to go from like him being my straight motivation and him being such a big driver of like all these distances I did and things, to all I could think was, I did all of this without you. I didn't need you for any of this. Like it was kind of like out of anger at that point, which that's not
Mhm.
healthy either. So I feel like now I'm
Sure.
at the point where it's just like it is what it is in life, and I have done all of this without my father. I didn't need my father for any of it, but I also know that I want to be the runner that I am today, and I would not be the person that I am today if he wasn't my father. And
Yeah.
I know that if he even was still alive, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. If he wasn't an alcoholic and he wasn't a drug addict, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. And I just know that it was very unfortunate. It's nobody wants to die. Nobody wants their parents to die whenever they're kids. It's not supposed to happen. But I know that I genuinely wouldn't be who I am today if it didn't happen. So that's what I just
Mm,
try to focus on.
very
What is
good.
your like? So, what is your like family support system now? It sounds like your mom was also a motivator with her Couch to 5K, which is just like the story that everyone wants to hear. I signed up for a Couch to 5K, and then my daughter started. Yeah. What
Yeah.
what is your family look support system now? It must be pretty good because again, you like grown into an amazing person. So,
Yeah, my mom, she wasn't super into running. Like she honestly got very like out of touch with running. Um, but she got into like CrossFit and things and got me involved in CrossFit at a young age and so much love for her for getting me involved in like being healthy and working out and things at such a young age. And so she was always very supportive with my running. She was my crew at all my races. And I mean, she had to be there. I was 14 years old. I couldn't drive myself to these things. So she would have to like sign me up and sign the waivers for me and everything like that. Definitely when I was younger. It did cause a lot of fights and things just because I wanted to do more like at a younger age and she was like, you aren't ready for this. And I felt like she
Mm.
was being a big mean mom and I wanted to run 100 miles and she wouldn't let me. I feel like that's not normally the things you fight with your 15-year-old daughter about, but that's what my mom and I went to fight about when I was
Uh,
allowed to run my first 100-mile
but
race.
mom, I love running. You're too young
Yeah.
to know what love is. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly,
Oh my
honestly.
gosh.
So yeah, my mom has always been very supportive, and now she's actually been getting really into running herself. Like after crewing me and pacing me for so many years, now she like does her own 100-mile races and things like that. So it's been really, really cool to see her like make the switch from crewing me for so much and being so involved with the sport to actually doing it herself. And it's very, very exciting where she's going with it.
Oh, very good. Very good. Um, so why ultras?
Whoa, that's a very loaded question. I mean,
Oh
I
yeah.
think, I think, so whenever I was 14 years old, I kind of touched on it a little bit, but I crewed and paced my friend for her first 100-mile race. And it was my first experience with an ultra, my first experience with like 100 miles. I thought that was insane. I didn't really know
Uh-huh.
people went for 100 miles straight. And she was in the back of the pack, and I was pacing her. So I'm around all of these people that have been out all day, all night. We're going into our second day. Everybody's
Mm.
miserable and they just want to be finished. Like it really sucks. If you've ever been in the back of the pack of a 100-mile race, it is not fun. It is just slow and you are
Wait a minute.
walking.
Wait. It's
It's
kind of
not
fun.
fun.
It's a little bit fun.
It's very hard though. It is very
Oh, it
hard. It is
sucks. It sucks,
yes,
but it's
yeah.
fun.
Yeah, it is very hard in a different respect from being in the front of the pack and being in both
Mm.
places. But just being in the back of the pack with her and seeing all these runners who had been out there for at the time 27, 28 hours and they were struggling and they were
Mm.
suffering, but they were still moving forward. I just kind of knew like this is who I want to be. Like these are my people. And so I feel like at the ripe old age of 14, I was like, this is what I'm going to do. And
Mm.
ever since then, and running these distances myself, I just feel like there's such a big accomplishment and kind of just like sense of, I don't know if I'd say belonging. I guess sense of belonging, but just like a sense of like you actually do something. You're actually working for something. And it feels so good now that I'm older too, and I care about my times now. I'm running more competitively now. For a long time, I just ran for fun and to go for the distances, and it was really rewarding to always get those finishes. But now that
Hmm.
I am running more competitively, to actually see where my training is paying off and knowing how hard I work in training and then getting those results, like it is so rewarding. Be like, wow,
Mm.
like all the work we've been putting in is actually working.
Yeah.
Can I
That is
ask what?
diff. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, just was it a struggle when you were 14 or whatever to actually focus on your school life? I mean, I get the sense that you became kind of obsessed with, running 100 miles. So I'm thinking like every day when you went to, ninth grade, were you like thinking about running? I mean, were you kind of obsessed with it, or could you compartmentalize and like go to school and do the normal 14-year-old thing?
I feel like it's honestly worse now than it was when I was younger.
Okay.
When I was younger, I feel like I was still kind of like a normal high school student and I was in a lot of sports, so like soccer was my main sport, so I was like still really focused on soccer and school and everything like that. But honestly, now that I'm older, I feel like it's become a lot harder to separate because at this point, like when I was younger, I was still like school is the most important thing. I loved
Okay.
running, but I was always like school is the most important. But honestly, now that I'm older, it's like there's not a separation. Like school is very important, but running is the most important. Like I have to remind myself like I was a very good student in high school. I mean, I'm still a good student in college, but like I never skipped school all throughout high school until my senior year. I skipped a day of school to run a 200-mile race. I was like in the
As one
middle of a
does.
race. Yeah,
There's
exactly. I
mud on
was
your
like,
shoes. Have you been out running?
yeah, that was like
No,
the first
man.
time I
I've been
ever skipped
sitting.
school. Yeah. So
Oh,
it was interesting.
yeah.
Absolutely. Oh boy. Um, so if we could shift gears a little bit now, if I say the words frozen snot, does that mean anything to you?
That's a very hard half marathon.
Okay.
Very
All
hard
right.
half marathon.
Yeah. Now, Anna, maybe you have some follow up with
Well, yeah,
this?
Kaylee, I've done that 3 times, and I remember I know your name. I knew your name from a while, like whatever, a few years ago, because I think that I would just remember, looking at the list of people, and I'm assuming you won. I don't really remember exactly, um, but yeah, so we live in Connecticut, and I saw a list and saw that that was the hardest half marathon in the Northeast. So I'm like, oh, I have to go there, and it is now my like this year was the third time, and it's like my favorite race of all time. So
It is, it is fun, but it is
yeah,
hard
yeah,
for a
but
half
it's like
marathon.
there's something about that like Pennsylvania community that I'm totally drawn to, and I actually signed up for the Heiner 50K in April because I heard that was awful too, and I'm like, oh, get me there, please. Um,
Yes.
Me
so
too.
yeah, yeah, but so we did technically do a race together. I think whatever, I don't remember the year, but at
Yeah,
some point we
that's
did.
so
Yeah, yeah,
exciting.
yeah,
That is so
yeah. And I
exciting.
just I think there's something like I don't know when I saw people in 0 degrees, in with bonfire like spectators with bonfires. I'm like, there's something going on here. I don't know what it is,
Yeah.
but I love it.
Yes, the PA trail community is honestly unmatched. Like, I've
Yeah.
never met a community quite like the PA trail community. It is something you want to be a part of, that is for sure.
Mm,
Well, it's also telling that the races sell out like instantaneously. It seems like
Hmm.
some of the races. I know that for instance not does, right? Like I also signed up for World's End at one point. I couldn't do it, but like that
Yeah.
also is like I'm like,
World's End is sells out in less than 5 minutes.
yeah.
Like,
And
it's
Heiner,
insane.
the Heiner also sold out. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm gonna do it, but I gotta sign up for it because
Yeah.
I'm gonna miss my
Yeah.
opportunity. So
Yes.
yeah, what do
yeah.
you think?
100%.
Like what can you describe what it's like or how it might differ from other trail communities?
I feel like just with the Pennsylvania trail community, it's like once you show up to a race, you are automatically invited and you are automatically welcome. And I love so much all the race directors like Craig Fleming and Ben Major. I'm probably closest with Ben Major. He's such an amazing guy. And like David Walker, all of them care about the
Yeah.
runners. Like
Hmm.
once you sign up for a race, they are invested in you as a runner. You aren't just somebody that's paying them so they can make a profit off of you. They don't
Yes.
make any profits. They're pretty much, I believe they're all nonprofit and they all donate like everything they make. Um, and it's like they just genuinely care about their runners and they care about the story behind every athlete. They don't really care if you're a front of the pack runner, mid pack runner, backpack, they genuinely care about your story. They care about why you're there and they're invested in you as a person. And just as a whole, like if you're at the start or at the finish of at one of these races and you don't know anyone and you're kind of standing there by yourself, somebody's gonna walk over to you and pick you up, and you're
Hmm.
not gonna be by yourself anymore, and you're gonna have a new lifelong friend. Like it's just such a caring and outgoing community that is really there for everybody, and it's just absolutely amazing. And I know like the volunteers and everything, a lot of races I know struggle to get volunteers, but I know sometimes like Heiner and like Eastern States, it's like they have enough volunteers, which is crazy because a race like Eastern States, I mean, you need volunteers for over 36 hours straight, and people will stay up all night for these runners. It's amazing to see.
Yeah. You forgot to mention all the big boulder rocks.
Yeah.
That's what makes the Pennsylvania Trail community
Yeah,
Rocksylvania.
rock and roll.
Rocksylvania, yeah. Lots and lots and lots of boulder fields. Lots of
Yes,
them.
Pennsylvania people are definitely cool. We had Dave Walker on the show. I'm gonna say it was probably we've been doing this since 2018, and I think we probably had him on in 2019 if I go back and look, or somewhere around there. I'd have to check, but yeah, it is pretty cool there. I think the closest I think I signed up for Eastern States, and I had like a really bad year leading up to it, and then I was like, oh, I could go do this, but it would just be, I think I would just be taking a spot there, not really, I probably would have just gotten eaten by the rattlesnakes at that point. So,
Eastern States is the hardest race I've ever done, that's for sure. So,
mm,
yeah, be prepared for that one going in.
yes,
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 100%. You need to be trained for that one.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Can I ask a question about that? I don't know if about the training. So, well, I hope we'll get into detail about your, last weekend. But one question I have is I was listening to a podcast that you did, and you said something like, "Oh, I'm not that great at hills," which I like laughed at and thought, "Okay, didn't you do
Obviously.
something?" I mean, it was before Eastern States, but I'm like, I don't think you're bad at hills. I
Like
don't
you did
know,
okay
like.
at Heiner, right?
But I'm curious, yeah, what do you think? I mean, I haven't done it, but it sounds really intriguing. Like, what makes it so hard? And did you like, were you working on hills from the time of that interview? I think it was like December until till this past weekend, or you know,
Yeah, so after the 24-hour World Championship in October last year, I kind of switched everything into trails. So like ever since then, I've been back into trail running, and I've been hitting vert and hills very, very hard because I know that I'm not good. Oh well, I don't want to say that anymore. At the
okay,
time,
good,
I
good,
was
good.
not good at hills. I was
Mhm.
I used to be very, very bad at hills, and it's honestly, I don't know what happened at Heiner. It's like my goal going into Heiner for this year was just like I wanted to go in and I wanted to race hard. I'm
Mm.
not usually like a show up and blow up kind of person, but I was like, you know what, coach? Like I know I'm not gonna win this race because I knew like Deanna Dawn was racing and she is an amazing runner, especially at like shorter distances, like 50Ks. Like I knew I didn't stand a chance. So I was like, I just want to show up and blow up. I was like, I want to go hard and just see what happens. And so I did that and I raced very hard and I was very happy with it. And I feel like I didn't completely blow up. Like it was hard and I was working, but I was like, what just happened? My mind was blown. My coach's mind was
Hmm.
blown. Like, I should not have run the time that I ran there. We
Oh,
didn't know what happened. So I feel like something in Heider kind of clicked in my head where all these years I've been telling myself, like, I'm so bad at hills. I hate hills. I can't be good at hills. I feel like it was like, okay, hills are my biggest weakness, and I'm not great at hills, but I don't have to be bad at hills. It was like, I feel like it was genuinely something in my head, like I was bad at hills because I was telling myself I was bad at hills. And
Mm.
hmm.
so then I've still been hitting hill work really, really hard because it's still my biggest weakness. But now it's like just knowing I don't have to be bad at them. Like just because I'm not great at them doesn't mean I have to be bad at them. So I feel like I've gotten so much better at them just because I let myself get better at them. Whereas before I
Mm.
didn't. So it was a very, very interesting shift and it still doesn't make sense. But
I love that. I love that. That is, I call that's like the miracle of ultra running in a sense. Like sometimes, like when you're completely bonking and you got nothing left in the tank and you can't do anything and running, doing the slog pace hurts. Sometimes the best thing you can do is try running harder. you know,
yes, yes, and
like you
see
all of a
what
sudden run
happens.
harder and you're like, oh my God, like I wasn't able to run. I wasn't able to walk hardly. And now look at me, I'm running. Like, how did that
Yeah,
happen? It's,
sometimes you just gotta fuck around and find out, you know?
right on.
Like,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, um, you ever run with Jared Burdick or no? Had him on
I
a couple years ago too. I think he set a course record at Heiner a while
I
back,
don't think so. If he
probably
set a
3 or 4 years
course record
ago.
at Heiner, he's way faster than me. That's for sure.
Gotcha. But you run a lot. One of the things that's really unique about your running is that it's like there are certainly people who specialize in hills, right? And then there's people who do timed loop races. And then there's people who do point to point, moderate races. And then there's people who do really crazy technical races like Eastern States and stuff. And like you don't seem to be afraid to do any of those.
Yeah, I feel like I I just love running. Like I can't really pick like do I love road running more or do I love trail running more? Like I feel like
Mhm.
if you would have asked me in February, whenever I was still kind of on my like road running, like fixed time events and loop racing, it was like that's kind of like what my body is meant to do. I feel like that is where I excel. Like that's where I can actually compete at like a national and international level.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I would have been like, yeah, trail running, it just won't happen for me at that very like competitive level. But then like with what has happened at World's End and Eastern States now, I'm like, wait, actually, like I'm not there yet. Like there's no way I could compete against like the Courtney DeWalters and the Katie Shides and I'm not at that level yet. Whereas in like the road running, I feel like I kind of am at that level. I am at that like higher level. I
Mm.
feel like it's not out of the question now
Mm-hmm.
in trail running that I could one day get there and actually be a legitimate competitor at races like Western States and UTMB. So that it's like a really cool feeling to know that like I'm not just limited to road running and like fixed time like I thought I was. So it's really cool to think like, oh, maybe I can just also get good at trail and like just be a runner because I love running so much. So it's really cool to be able to like shift my focus around um for whatever races I have coming up and hopefully in
Mm.
the future I can continue doing that and like I'll never get bored of it because there will always be something else I can do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
your trajectory is really accelerated. So like it's amazing, when you say that, I think, oh, you've got like you can totally do that because you have so much time and you already have this wealth of experience that, you know, no, like probably very few of these like amazing world-class people like actually have just based on your, 8 years past of running like ultras. It's yeah, it's really exciting because you just have so much to
Yeah.
look forward to.
It's
Yeah.
insane in talking to my coach. So like one thing that I really want to do is eventually set the world record for like 24 hours. And it's insane that like talking to my coach, he's like, "Oh yeah, that's a reasonable goal." Like not anytime soon, but just
Yeah.
because I'm so young and because we
Yeah.
have so much time to build up to that,
Right.
like it's insane
Mm.
to think that like a world record is a legitimate goal to have. Like in the future, of course, in the far future. I know I'm very far from that, but like it's not out of the question for me to actually be legitimately considering going for that one day. And it's a really cool feeling, just knowing how much time I have in this sport. Like, I mean, God
Yeah.
willing that everything continues going well, of course. But
Yeah. Yeah. Do you, I
Sure.
mean, do you have injuries or do you feel like you've been pretty lucky or,
oh,
what's
no,
it been
I have
like?
not been lucky.
Okay.
That's for sure. Um I have at I've been dealing with Achilles tendonitis like on and off for a really long time, and at Worlds, the 24-hour World Championship, the last like 2.5 hours, it got worse than it ever has. I had a lot of problems, but I mean, I was at Worlds, so it didn't matter. I just kept running, and had already started my kicks whenever it really, really flared up. So I was like, it doesn't matter. I'm at Worlds. I have to keep running. And I don't regret my decision to run through that, but like I actually had to take 6 complete weeks off of running, and that was probably the hardest 6 weeks of my life that I've had in a
Mm,
very, very long time. I did not realize how dependent I was on running until that 6 weeks happened. It was not a good time. Um, and since then, that was that was in October, so that was maybe like 10 months ago. I think the past 10 months I've been completely healthy for like maybe 8 weeks. Like it has
Hmm.
been so much like on and off, and people don't really believe me because I've been like racing well.
Hmm.
And I feel like with the timing of my races, I have gotten lucky where like I haven't had flare-ups, but it's just been very frustrating. It's like I'll have a good week of training and I'll be like, okay, let's keep this rolling. We'll have another good week of training, and then I'll have a flare-up, and then I'll have to cut my
mm,
mileage back, and I'll have to switch to a lot of biking and using the elliptical and stuff. And so it's very frustrating, and I am eternally grateful for my coach because he's so
mm,
flexible and like helps me work through everything because mentally I'm
hmm.
like I can't run, my life is over, and he's like you need to stop talking like that, like we're just rolling with it.
Yes. Well,
Um
every time you get hurt, it's a career ender, right? Like,
yes,
I mean,
everything's over,
that's
my life ends. Yes.
yes, yes. I can definitely relate to that. And I mean, ultimately, it's the miracle again because what do you know? It wasn't, you know. And
Yeah.
the timed races can do that. Besides a traumatic injury, like a tripping and falling and breaking bones injury that I had, the worst injury I ever had was at a 24-hour race, just because it was a repetitive motion, and I was well more than 6 weeks, with ankle issues.
Mhm.
But so I bet there's people out there who are, there's some that are listening who are saying, well, you know you got to back off and you got to be healthy and stuff like that. And then um but I think my understanding is that, like, when you're competing at that level, you're kind of riding, to get the most out of yourself. Sometimes you got to ride that line, right? Like, as far as like injury versus being healthy a little bit. Is that, like, how is your balance with that? Like,
Yeah, I feel like honestly I feel like I put so much on my coach, and I'm very grateful for him for everything
good.
that he does
Yeah.
for me.
Uh-huh.
Um I feel like so like we'll say I feel like I base a lot off of like before Worlds and after Worlds because that's whenever I got like my most like substantial injury. So like before Worlds, I feel like my that was probably the best training block I ever had. Like my build was like I was very confident in how I had that training block. Like I was holding, for me, like 75-mile weeks is like where I was holding. If I would go much over that consistently, like I can't sustainably hold that without getting an overuse injury. But like we built
Wow.
up
Huh.
to like 75s we were holding, and I peaked, I want to say like 96 miles. Um,
Mm-hmm.
for like my biggest training week, and then like we brought it back down, and like knowing that I'm very prone to overuse injuries, that's just like how we have to do it. But then
Mm.
afterwards, like for all the races I've had in 2026, I really haven't been able to get over like 55-mile weeks. That's
Mm.
kind of like where I've had the peak, which I mean that's 20 miles
At your
difference,
level,
which Like,
Yeah.
At your level, that's like, um, I mean, a lot of, if I my understanding is that a lot of elites do 130, right?
mhm,
120, not an issue. I mean,
yeah.
I think Camille Herron, we just had her on 2 weeks ago. Anna, do you remember what she was talking about as far as her volume? Not to put you on the spot, but
I don't know, but I definitely hear you on the when I listen to podcasts, there people are talking about those super high. Like actually, I think
Yeah.
I was listening to one with about Badwater with Max Joliffe, and it was like, yeah, 125, 130, and I just I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's and
but this actually, I was just thinking like to myself, like, but you, I mean, you're in school, right? Like, or I mean, you're not a
mhm,
professional.
yes.
Like, just we just have to
Yeah.
yeah.
remember that, like, she
Thank you.
actually
Yes.
does.
Yeah.
She's not a professional runner, even though your accomplishments are professional level, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that's
I'm
incredible.
working three jobs, 60 hours a week, and I'm in school full time and trying to run. So it's like when I was doing 75-mile weeks, like for my world's build up, like that was genuinely like my life was running. I didn't do anything else.
Mm,
Like literally it was eat, sleep, school, work, run. Like there was nothing else in my life.
mm,
And um so like in the past like year, like I haven't been very confident going into most of my races because my mileage has been so low. I was really only sustaining 55-mile weeks. And that's where I had to peak because like we are
yeah.
constantly riding this line of injury, and it's like if I would go over it, I'm gonna flare it up and then I'm gonna have a 15-mile week because we're not like with my
Mm,
the way my coach is like I feel like he tries to be very conservative with me because I am so young and I have such big goals. Like he does not want me to go out and get hurt permanently because like we have big future goals and he's very
mm,
much like there's no point in me going out and doing an extra 6-mile easy run on a Wednesday for like he's like for what reason if it's just going to hurt you more. So
mm,
like I work very very closely with him and especially whenever I'm hurt, like there's times I will literally be back and forth with him every single day, like okay, do we need to adjust the plan? Like, should I be running today or should I just do my easy day
mm,
on the elliptical? And there's been times where it's like I was just prioritizing like workout days. Like I would run like Tuesday, Thursday, and then I would do my long runs because I would do speed workout, hill workout, long run, and the in betweens, the easy runs I would normally do, I was hitting on the bike and things like that. So it's been very like fluid the past year, just adjusting as we need to adjust and just trying to stay healthy and get the most out of what I can, like a quality over quantity type thing.
yeah, right on. That's key. I think the fact that, like, so I coached for a little bit, and I one case comes into mind, things where I just missed the communication, understanding the communication styles between the coach and the athlete. If they say that they're hurting and you don't quite really understand, like that means a lot of things to a lot of different people, right? Like you're like, an ultra monster and you go out there. So like if you say you're hurting, that might be like, oh yeah, my foot just fell off,
Yeah.
it could be, it could mean a
And
lot of
if
different
yeah.
things.
And if I am considering, like if I say, "Hey, I don't think I should run today,"
Yeah,
you better know I shouldn't be running today. Like I will
that's right.
never be like, "Oh yeah, I'm not just like an I feel lazy, I don't want to run" type of person.
Yeah.
Like I will always prioritize my running. Like if I'm
Mm.
actually considering not running, there's a reason for it. Did
Yeah.
you
So oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
you gone, Art. Yeah.
What would you do? Like I hear that running is important. So what would you do if you couldn't run? Like, I mean, God forbid. Like, I mean, you sound like, like let the record show also you're in New Zealand going to school. So like let's maybe start with the first part is like, what are you doing in New Zealand and school? And then, how did you find how did you find your way to New Zealand? Because I always wonder, it's like, was that a dartboard or what? How did you it's a cool place, but maybe you could tell us
um
about that a little bit.
So I am a double major in biology and secondary education with a minor in chemistry, a STEM endorsement, and an ESL certification because I'm an ultra runner, so I take everything to the extreme. Um, and I'm in my fourth year of school, so I'll graduate in May. And I really like to travel too. Like I love getting to see new places and things. But I knew that studying abroad was an option in either New Zealand or Bolivia, and I was like, wow, that sounds so cool, but I can't do that. That's scary. So I was just kind of like blew it off. But then the more I was like thinking about it, and I was actually like filling out my student teaching application, what exactly am I so scared of? Like, I was like, it's 7 weeks. That's not very long. Like, yeah, I'll have to leave home for 7 weeks and stuff, but I just felt like it was an opportunity that I would very much regret if I didn't take it. So I just selected the box that said yes, I was interested, and then the rest is history. So I was like,
Oh, very good.
yeah, I love traveling, and I knew that it's scary and it's out of my comfort zone, so that's probably why I should do it, because I would regret it if I didn't.
Yeah.
I- that
And,
is that is a great way to live there.
and so you're a student teacher for the next 7 weeks. Is that
Yes.
yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah.
And did you start like this week?
Yeah, I landed on Wednesday and I started on Thursday.
And everyone knew that you had just won a 100 miler the weekend before.
I told my mentor teacher, I was like, hey, just so you know, like if I'm like limping into class, like there's a reason for it. Like I ran a race. I swear I'm not like broken.
And they said I just did a 5K too.
Yeah. It's like cool, like, cool. What was your time?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that sounds
Um,
amazing. And did you scope out um Auckland for like running purposes? I mean, is it easy to run from where you are?
Yeah, I'm in like a really nice area. I'm in a very safe area and a very
Yeah.
nice area. So I feel like I haven't run yet.
Okay.
Generally
Which
after a
makes sense,
race,
yes. Yeah.
after a race, I like tell my coach like I don't have a plan for a week, and it's like whenever I feel ready to run, I run. So I think I'm gonna run tomorrow just for funsies, and then I'll tell him how I feel, and we'll start a plan up again on Monday. So I'm excited to like get back into a plan. Like I feel good and I feel ready to run again. So I'm excited for that.
mm,
And to I get to like explore a new area, which that makes it even more fun. So I'm very excited for that part of it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Is your interest in biology and chemistry, like how does that connect at all to your athletic interests? I mean, are you interested in like human performance or physiology, or is it a different kind of biology? Or
I feel like it's just general
yeah,
biology. I feel like honestly I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew that I was interested in teaching, and then I was like, but what do I teach? And I was like, oh, I like science, I liked biology, I liked chemistry,
okay.
so that's just kind of what I went with.
Yeah. That's super exciting. I mean, I would love to hear. I don't know if like the kids that you're teaching know about your accomplishments, but it would be really cool to like be in the room when someone's like, yeah, she got a 12th at the World Championships in the 24 hour, like
Yeah,
international
it's
competition.
it's definitely I have not talked to any of like the kids about it, but if it ever like just casually comes up, because like running comes up because I love running, but
Yeah.
like I try not to talk about it really with people.
We
I'm just like if running comes up, I'm just like, yeah, like I really like running. Like, oh yeah, I'm into like long distance. Like I try not to really talk about it. But like if people are asking questions, like I'll answer, and I just get the same like jaw drop like every time I'm like,
yes.
oh, it was a
It,
hundred
it
miles, and they're like how far? Like
Wait, what?
you get the same
How many
reaction.
days?
Yeah.
It becomes one of those like I think I used to like to talk about it more than I do now because most of the time it's like to me it's a conversation that's not going to go anywhere because
hmm
it's almost like you could almost plot out where the conversation is going to go, and it's going to end
Yeah.
with, I couldn't drive that far, right?
Yes, and it's like, how long did that take you? And it's like,
Yes.
if I told them it took me, okay, Eastern States, it took me 23 hours, I would get the same exact reaction if I ran that race in 35 hours. Like, they just, like, and there's nothing
Or
wrong with that.
12. Yeah.
Yeah, like, there's just no comprehension just because they don't do that. Like, it's not their
Hmm.
sport, and there's nothing
Yep.
wrong with that. But it's like, it would
Yeah.
be the same reaction no matter what. So it's just like, yeah, I don't even like to drive that far. Me neither.
Yeah.
You know, that's
And
why I
it,
run it.
and it I think it also starts to get people to ask the polite questions, because I mean it is kind of a cool thing to find out about, but it's also I don't know, it kind of, to me, it's not really, I don't know. We call that paddling our douche canoe when we
Mhm.
like force these stories on other people. So,
Yeah, so that's
which
why
is okay to
yeah.
do. It's good to do that sometimes. Sometimes you got to do that, but other times,
I do that to try to get people to get involved. Like I'm
mm,
always like, why aren't you taking the bait and like joining me for my trail run? Like it's very confusing to me when people don't respond as I know
yeah,
that they should.
yeah. You
Like,
ready?
they're
Like,
like, I like to run, but I get injured when I, do races or on pavement. And I'm like, come run on the trails. It's
Yeah, come
great.
run
You
on the
won't get
trails
injured.
then.
And then I
so
never hear from them again. Can you explain
yeah.
this?
Frozen snot. It was like 0 degrees. It was up these mountains and
Yeah,
down. We almost got frostbite. You should do it.
I know. That's
you
exactly what
know?
happens already.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Kaylee, I've tried to get like Connecticut people to this since first did it, and I was like, "This is the best thing ever." I've tried to get Connecticut people to do it. There were two other Connecticut people this year, but actually, the prior 2 years, I don't believe there were any other people from Connecticut. So, but unfortunately, this year it was a little bit different, and they didn't actually include the Beast in the course. I don't know if you followed this because of the
Yeah,
weather.
I saw that.
Yeah, so it wasn't really the frozen snot. It was like kind
Yeah.
of like a little bit like the frozen snot. But I'm hopeful
Yeah.
that people believed me when I said you have to come back to do that crazy boulder field
Mhm.
in the ice.
Yeah, I feel that it was really unfortunate what happened this year. I wasn't there, but I followed
Yeah,
it. It's like I feel like they did the best they
they
could. Like
did a
at
great
least they
job.
didn't
Yeah,
cancel it. Like
totally.
a
Yeah,
lot of race directors I feel like would have just called it
yeah.
completely. So
Mm,
I'm very glad they made something work for the runners.
I am too. And I actually like it was like or it was like 0 to -10 or like -17 with wind chill. I don't remember what it was,
Hmm.
but I was actually like, this is really exciting because I'm like getting to practice winter skills. I mean, I
mm,
thought it was like I was excited by the prospect of it being
Wow, she
horrible
said
conditions.
negative 20 degrees. This is really exciting, guys. Like, come on,
mm.
let's go. Let's go for a
So,
run.
so that is one thing I was actually going to ask you about that. So have you ever considered, because that's like, I know you've done so many different things as we talked about. Have you ever considered some of the like Arrowhead 135 or some of the winter ultras? Have you ever thought about that, or is that kind of like just in your reserve backup? Like, yeah, someday maybe we'll do that. Like, because you've run in the
Yeah.
desert, you ran 135 in the, you know, in Badwater. So, um,
It's definitely like in the back corner of my head. Like I think
mhm.
eventually I might come around to it, but like as of where I'm at now, like I really don't have any interest in that. I feel like
Yeah,
that takes it's so different and I have so much respect to people that do races like that. It's just not where my interest is at right now, but I would
yeah,
never say never because I like to do crazy stuff, so I feel like eventually I'll come around to it. It's just not where I'm at the moment.
yeah. I mean, it also makes sense that you got to make hay when the sun shines, right? So, like, here you are, you're young, you're in your good racing shape, and the competition is at these other races, and so you have that upper end. And if you're going to go for that, now is the time, right? The
Hmm.
next 10 years, 20 years, whatever that looks like. So, um,
Can I ask a
cool.
question, just circling back to like your preparation like your last 6 months and your kind of lower mileage, let's say? Like, do you feel that when you're doing a race? Because I mean, I'm sure, I hope we'll get in depth about Eastern States last weekend. But when I hear 55-mile weeks and then I hear your performance at Eastern States, like I'm just thinking to myself, was it hard? I mean, was it way harder for you because of the 50-mile weeks, or do you just have some reserve in you that like normal people don't have, that you can do it and feel comfortable? And I know you've done it before, so you knew what you were getting into and everything. But how was the experience, given that maybe like your mileage wasn't typical for people who are doing that kind of race or who want to
Yeah,
win it, let's say?
I feel like my body is so used to going that 100-mile distance and being on my feet for 24 hours and things like that, that it doesn't have a huge effect. But I feel like later in the race, like I feel like especially at Eastern this year, like I'm generally a very consistent runner. Like if you look at my splits, I don't have a lot of slowdown. And I mean like at a race like Eastern, like you're going to have slowdown. There's no way to avoid it. But I feel like even the last like 18 miles after like Skytop, I feel like hit me a lot harder than I normally would at the end of a race. Like normally I feel like I still would have been running better than I was at that point this year. So I feel like it definitely has an effect, and it's like I get tired sooner, but for the most part I'm still able to just like grit through it. So it's just like I feel like it makes
Mm,
it harder, but
Mhm.
mentally I have enough to push through so it doesn't have a huge effect on me.
mm,
I feel like I have a like my brain is just really it's wired differently. There's a switch in my brain that I don't really know how to access, but whenever I'm bracing, something flips and I'm a different person and I can do things that shouldn't be humanly possible and that like shouldn't happen. And again, I don't really know how I get there, but I do get there. And it's just like my brain is my greatest strength and my greatest weakness. So whenever I
mm,
can tap into that like moment, whenever I'm using it to like my strengths, and like I feel like I can just do crazy things.
mm. What do you mean by weakness? Do you ever is part of the way you're wired not good for your running or for other things like that? What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
I have a very dark head and it goes to very dark places, especially whenever it does come to like injuries and like being good enough and like
Mm,
really riding the line between like I'm a runner and that's my whole entire life and like I have a personality beyond running. So I feel like it's very, very easy for me to get sucked into the bad side of it, where running is my entire identity and I place everything into running, and then I genuinely have no worth. And if I have a bad workout, if I have a bad race, like everything ends, and there's no reason for me to be alive. Like, so making sure I'm staying on the right side of that line is very difficult, but
mm.
whenever I am on the right side of that line, everything is good. It's just making sure that I'm staying in the positive headspace. And
Yeah.
I do a lot better. I've gotten a lot better. I've worked with like my therapist and my coach both a ton on it, and I mean it's a continuous like work in progress because I know that running is like I want running to be my future. If life goes the way I want it to be, like I'll be a professional runner, and I know that it's not sustainable if I'm in of that like mentally bad place all the time. So just trying to
Mm.
stay in a good headspace.
Are there
Yeah,
like
yeah,
oh,
that mental battle is or working on yourself it's a lifelong process, right? You don't I used to think like, okay, yeah, if I for me, if I go to AA and work the 12 steps through and completely know myself and do all that like then it'll be okay. you know, or if I go to a therapist and work on this, then it'll be okay forever. But it is there's there's constant maintenance and constant understanding of yourself and finding out what is the thing that gives me that anxiety in my gut or that makes me that you know feeling uncomfortable with, so it's a constant thing. And you're right, it's not that kind of this, the struggle is real, and it's not easy to always keep on the right side of the line. And I don't think that anybody is. I think we're not wired that way. We're wired to like survive against the tigers and the other things like that. And you know what? It sounds like you and I have both faced some, tigers when we were younger. So, we're always going to be looking for them to it for a certain extent. So,
Can I ask
um,
two questions? Are there specific techniques that you found like particularly successful for taming like this downward spiral? Um, and my second question, which is in my mind related, is do you talk to other athletes about these feelings? I'm just curious. I mean, I know you talk to your therapist, you said, and your coach. Like, I'm just curious, do you talk to other runners about this? Like, I've never heard that. I've never heard people talking about that. And I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I'm thinking to myself, like, is that a thing? So, um, yeah, if you could just respond to those.
So I feel like Um, with the other runners part, when I was a couple years ago, maybe like 2 years ago, when I started to like really have a problem with it, I did like reach out to some of my like other running friends, and I'm like, hey, like what do you do? Like, do you have these problems? And like how do you not tie your entire identity to running? Like
mm,
how do you keep a life on the outside? And there's like one runner in particular that like really helped me with a lot of it, and he gave me like a lot of really good things to do. And he's like, you need to be a human outside of running. Like you need
mm,
to like you need to have some sort of identity outside of running. Like some part of your life can't be tied to running. So I feel like I've been working a lot on that and attempting to find a me that exists without running. And I feel like most of that revolves around like my family and my sister. Like I am my sister's sister, and sister is my best friend. And outside of running, sister is my best friend. And that's something to
Oh,
live for outside of running. And more recently, like traveling is, I love traveling. So I feel like that's also something it's like, okay, there's things to be alive for that isn't just
mm,
running. Um, so I feel like that's been very helpful. And I did get that advice from like another runner. And then what was the first
oh,
question?
that
I
just the
had an
like
answer.
techniques for
Yeah.
an incoming downward spiral.
Yeah, so I feel like whenever like I can recognize just knowing myself, like I mean, I've known myself for 21 years now, almost 22 years. Um just in general, I can like recognize whenever I'm going to spiral. I can recognize like when I'm hitting a depression because I go in waves all the time, and like I can recognize when it's coming. That doesn't mean I can always stop it, but at
mm,
least at least now I can recognize it. Like when I was younger, like I couldn't even recognize that it was coming until it was too late. So I feel like now just kind of like learning the warning signs, like okay, like I'm getting like it's like for me it's like okay, I can't really tolerate people very well. Like I have a very low tolerance for people. People get on my nerves. I get very angry just in general. And I get very angry about a lot of things. I get very, very hard on myself. Like during my runs and during my workouts, like I notice the voices in my head, they're a lot louder, they're a lot harder to control. And once they get harder to control, like I'll even like
mm,
I'll oftentimes text my coach and be like, hey, like they're starting to get like louder and just like they're starting to like come out. Um, so recognizing that and then just recognizing it kind of helps my head be like, okay, we're kind of prepared, and so like I can kind of fight back against it now that I now that I know that I have the power to do that. It
mm,
sounds so weird, but it's like I know that I have the power to, and I can kind of sometimes get a grip. And there are often times that they still win, and then I do go into that like downward spiral, but I feel like I've been trying hard. Like I had a very bad workout before Eastern States where like the voices in my head completely took over. Like it was like you're not good enough. Like it was
Mm,
bad. I haven't gotten that bad in a while, even just like during a workout. And I was like had this very bad workout. Like I was like completely hyperventilating. Like I couldn't breathe. Like it was bad. But
mm.
and generally then from a spiral like that, that would go on for like weeks then because I just couldn't get out of it. It was like I had this one bad workout and then everything else after that is going to be bad because I'm not good enough and that is what it is. But like I was very close to Eastern States and I was like, I can't stay here. Like, I just knew that I had a bad workout, but if I stayed there, then it was so close to Eastern States that I knew that I wouldn't stand a chance to race well there. So, like, I feel like just as I've gotten older, recognizing that it's coming and knowing what I have next and just knowing I can't stay here. Like, either I stay
Mm.
here and I don't race well, or I somehow get a grip and we move forward because we still can be good enough even with a bad workout.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, because, we're all going to fail at different times in our lives, right? We're going to try, especially like if we're not doing the layup, if we're going to take those tough shots and try the hard things. I mean, there's going to be, there's going to be failure and all that all over it. And, um, trying not to have that define who we are, right? When things don't go our way or when
Mm.
um, even when it's as simple as not as simple as, but when it's as simple as like, let's control our inner narrative. Like that's the only thing I can control. But I know for me, like, yeah, sometimes that's a very hard thing to get right, and sometimes I'm not even aware of it. Like I'll be running and, feeling okay. But then like, as I'm starting to fade, I'm like, oh, you're just yeah, you're just like the talk is hateful. You're just a fat fuck.
Hmm.
Come on, I'll
Yeah.
trip, I'll hit it, I'll kick a rock, and like the first thing out of my mouth is something that if anybody ever said that to one of my friends, I would be confronting them, right? Like if anybody ever
Hmm.
spoke to me the way that I speak to me, I wouldn't stand for it. So, I'm learning myself that you have to be kind to yourself and you have to be, there's a time to ride the whip in a race, right? Like, come on, let's go, let's get this done. But, um, at the end of the day, like, there's going to come a time when I can't run and that's not going to make me less of a person. I mean, certainly, there's other, I seek out other things, uh and other ways to have, satisfaction in life and have purpose in life, helping other people, um you
That
know that kind of stuff. Yeah.
it's cool to hear you talk about this what I perceive to be like an incredible will and willpower and ability to like transfer your and shift your mindset. Um, and that's kind of what's awesome about doing these hard things is you're voluntarily putting yourself in a place where then you have to face that challenge and like somehow
Mm.
crawl out of it. Um, which a lot of people unfortunately have that because life circumstances are terrible, right? Other people don't life circumstances aren't terrible, but they're not voluntarily putting themselves into a position of like hard training or hard workouts or 100 milers or whatever. Um, so I just find that like really cool that you've mastered or you're working on mastering this ability to just like intentionally get out of the space or try to get out of the space or like move away from that
Mm.
space. It's very neat to hear about. And I just feel like it's going to help you as you grow and continue to grow like as a runner and a human. I don't know. It's really neat. It shows the power of the mind, which I just find to be really fascinating. So thank you for
Yeah,
sharing that.
I feel like there are times like where it's like in racing, like I especially in a lot of my like 24-hour stuff where it's a very controlled environment, like a looped race, it's very controlled. It's like
Mm.
I want to get to the place where like I want to get to a dark place. Like I want to get to a place where like my head is like yelling at me like to quit and saying like you're not good enough. Like we can't keep holding this pace because I want to have to get out of it. Like it like in the moment it sucks and like I tell my crew like you have to remind me like this is where I wanted to get. Like when it gets hard, this is where I wanted to be. Like I my goal
Mm,
was to get to this place that it sucks, that it is extremely hard and I feel like I can't keep doing it.
mm,
Just so that I have to get out of it because I'm not the type of person to stay there. Like I wouldn't just quit and be like, "Oh yeah, this is hard. We should stop
mm.
doing this now. We should just give up." So like it's such a good feeling to get there and then get out of it. And
Yes. What
because
is
you have
that?
to. Yeah.
What is that? Because that's like the definition for me of a good run. Like even like and it doesn't have to always be that extreme, but like the degree to which I put myself into discomfort and um to like if I get to the point where I'm like, oh, maybe I went a little bit too far, and then I didn't at the end.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's good. Like, but I mean, I don't know. I
It's
guess
an
there is like an adrenaline rush or a endorphin rush from,
I was
from
gonna say
that.
an intense satisfaction of
Yeah.
just completing something and you knew you went through however long, minutes, hours, I don't know. And just push through. Yeah.
I have something that I say during every, I try to say during every hard effort, like any, whenever I'm out there and things are really bad. Like my favorite thing to do is to turn to one of my friends and say, I'll be so sad when this is over,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because you know that when it's like that's, if it's like a Saturday or a Sunday or something, by Tuesday you'll be saying, oh yeah, you know what, God, I wish I were out on the trails right now, humping it up a hill and at 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever. So
Yeah,
um
whenever I hurt really bad, like in the middle of a race or a training run or something, and like it's like, oh my gosh, my legs hurt so bad, I'm so tired. I always just think like I earned this hurt. Like I worked
yeah.
very hard to feel like I do right now. It's like I ran 80 miles, like I'm 80 miles in. I ran 80 miles to feel like I do right now. Like we earned
Mm,
that. So we
mm.
might as well try to enjoy it.
That's right. Yeah. So I think that's, that's a I think things are always better when you can put a name to them and recognize them. A lot of times, like when things aren't going my way in life and in, whether it's running or anything, I think that like voices in my head only really bug me when I don't acknowledge that I'm hearing voices in my head or that I'm here, that I'm, once I recognize it, then, like, yeah, you know what, I'm feeling bad right now, I'm bonking a little bit here or whatever, then at least I can like acknowledge that and say, yeah, it sucks, but you know what? That's my life right now, Um,
Yeah, that's very much like for me, like one of the biggest things that I feel like I've grown the most in the past probably like year is recognizing the voices in my head. Like I have a major depressive voice in my head and a
mm,
major anxiety voice in my head, which those are probably the main two that like take over. And for the longest time, when I didn't have a grip on myself and on my head, it's like those voices were constantly saying like you're not good enough. Like
mm,
you're not good enough was such a huge thing and like you're never going to make it as a professional runner. So then eventually it's like, oh yeah, I'm not good enough. Like I'm never
mm,
going to make it. And so then like working with my therapist, she was like, you need to give Kaylee a voice to like fight back. So I feel like
mm,
all those voices they exist and they just they've become like they're categorized as like they and talk to me in like you statements. So whenever they do come out and they'll be like, you're not good enough, I have to make sure there's this like rational Kaylee voice that's like, wait, actually like I am good enough. And so like
mhm,
I'm not saying that I always win. Sometimes the voices do win, but at least there's a fight back and forth in there that's like, wait, actually, like no, like I can't I can't do hard things and stuff like that. At least there's a fight in there. And so if you ever listen to me talk or like read my posts, a lot of times I refer to myself as a we, just because I'm like, I know collectively the rational Kaylee voice is there, but I know that Kaylee is a large part this depressive voice and this anxiety voice. And I know that
Mm,
like I would not be the person that I am if I didn't have those bad voices. So as a collective, I am the bad voices and I'm also me. So as a collective, I'm a we. So if you're ever confused why I refer to myself as that in my posts and stuff, it's because
gotcha.
just collectively I know that I will never be able to get rid of the bad side of my brain. And so I just have to accept it and learn how to carry it with me in a way that it can't control me.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So you have the good part and you know, the good part and the bad part, right? Like once again, like I don't know, that's kind of how recognizing that is so powerful. And you're right,
Hmm.
putting a name to that um does a lot. I bet there's definitely people out there listening right now that, I think that anybody's being at all honest with themselves can relate to that, so
Yeah,
um
and I know some people, like my therapist told me, like some people actually will give it like a physical name, be like, oh, that's Brian,
oh
or
yeah,
like
yeah.
a color, and it's just like however you need to think about it in your head to get a grip on it. And for me, it's like I
Yeah.
just had to like separate it as like them. They're
Hmm.
just that group over there. They're in my head, they're there, but because I know they're there, I can control it. Like,
Yeah, and sometimes you think like, the voice, like, sometimes though that feeling is so strong that it seems like it's so hard to get rid of. Um, have you, like, for me, the belief in a higher power and being able to kind of turn some of these things over that I can't control, um, is helpful. Do you have any thoughts on that, or like, God, or higher power or anything like that? Does that play any role um in how you work?
I feel like I am a religious person, like I am a Christian, and I think I feel like that doesn't really play a part in how I control my brain and like between the good parts and the bad parts, but I feel like honestly with running in general, I feel like there is a reason that I am a runner and I don't often think like I mean, I don't really know, people are born to do things, but I feel like there's a reason that I found this sport 20 years younger than most people normally do, 30
Mm,
years younger than most people normally do. And so like I feel like I've had a couple experiences in my racing where it's like there was God or whatever there is up there like I could just genuinely feel the energy and like I knew that I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, and I know that I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing for a reason that I can't really describe. I don't
hmm
really know why, but I just have this calling that I know that I'm supposed to run, and I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and it's just it sounds really crazy, but if you were in my head and you could feel it, you would know what I mean.
Can you describe like some recent moments when that was obvious? Like in a race, like whatever the moment was. I don't know if it like the 24-hour championship would be one of them, or like this recent Eastern States where you just had this like glorious feeling of like this is, or you were in pain perhaps, but like this is exactly the
Yeah.
moment that like I'm here for.
Yeah, I feel like the most notable and when I feel it the most is honestly like when I'm out in the desert and like I'm
Mm.
in like just like it's really hot and I'm like really suffering out there. But like I've had like in Badwater, there was a time when like I was going up Whitney Portal Road, which is at the finish. Like you have like 3 miles to go. I'm like on the switchbacks and genuinely all I could think of is like God is so good. Like there is
mm,
like no other feeling other than that. And I feel like I mean, I hope at some point everybody in their life gets to experience that. Not in running, obviously, and but in whatever it is in life. Everybody does something when they get to experience just that like overwhelming feeling
Mm,
of just that like you're right where you're supposed to be, you're doing what you're supposed to do, and just all you can feel is that God is so good because it's like he has to be the reason that you're there. Like
mm.
there's just no way it would just
Mm,
happen. Like it's just like that good that there has to be a reason that it's like that.
yes. I think there's so many, I think for everybody, that's like the goal in life, right? I mean, that's why, people go and you know, take hallucinogens and go on all these quests to just to feel, really to get to that point, right? Or hope to reach that, point where like, yeah, I feel, in a meditative state, I feel like that I belong in the world and that I'm good enough and that like, and that I'm one with the world here. So, um,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah, I'm
that,
really interested that it was like the a geographical location that you mentioned like right then, that is not your kind of norm, I suppose, right? I mean,
mm,
you don't live in the desert, but it
Yeah,
somehow
no, I
you're
don't live
drawn
out
to it.
there.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm very drawn to the desert. I don't know why, but I love the desert. I love it out
mm,
west.
Yeah,
mm.
I mean it. I hope so since you did the
Yeah.
Badwater 135 three
I hate
times.
the heat.
Yeah.
I hate the desert, and I hate
Yeah.
long.
No, I
The
love
long
it.
runs.
How can I ask, like, how did you feel? Like, what kind of amazing feeling must it have been last weekend when you finished that race? I mean, I saw the video of like, your face. You
Yeah.
looked thrilled, but like, what was that feeling like? And I don't know if this is a good time just to do a quick like rundown of how that went. Like, I'm so
Yes.
curious
Yeah.
about the whole thing, and then also, the ending there when you realized,
Yeah.
wow, I like accomplished something amazing here.
Take us
Yeah,
through
my
it.
Yeah, yeah.
um
It
well,
could
where
be
do you
from the
want to
back, from
start?
the
Like,
front to the end,
Let's.
or the end to the front, or
Yeah.
whatever, whichever you prefer.
um, well, I guess if we'll go chronologically. If we
Okay.
start at the beginning of Eastern, I feel like um there were a lot of high expectations for me going in from just everybody on the outside
Mm,
after what I ran at World's End because I got second overall and I broke the women's course record there by 59 minutes. So there
mm,
were a lot of expectations for me. Externally going into Eastern of breaking the course record and being like one of the first women to go sub 24. And in my head, it's like, obviously, I had those things in my head too. Obviously, it would have been really cool to do those things. And I had my split charge set up for my crew, and those numbers were on there. But knowing my head, I can't focus on numbers like that because I will go into a downward spiral. Like I've learned that and I know
Mm.
that. So I was just focusing on running as fast as I could on the day that the race day gave me. And like everybody that asked me at packet pickup, like, oh my gosh, like, what are you going for? Like sub 24, like course record. And I was just like, I'm just going to run as fast as I can tomorrow, and I hope that that's really fast. Like, that's just kind of the answer I gave, and I even like told my crew, I was like, I don't know what you guys are gonna say once the race starts. I guess I'll have no clue, but at least while I'm around, and especially like the day before the race, just if people ask you guys, because you're there for me, just tell them I'm going to run as fast as I can. Like I don't
Yeah.
want that external pressure, even though I know it was already there, and I knew there were expectations, and but like I was trying to convince myself that it wasn't there, because I don't run well like that, because then there's just too much pressure, and I can't
Who
focus on
who
numbers like
does?
that.
Who does?
Yeah.
It's terrifying, right? It's terrifying.
Yeah.
Even if it's a 5K to say I'm going to run this time, it's
hmm
terrifying to stand at the starting line and do that. I mean, you can run the first mile at whatever pace you pick, but like to be able to say that you're going to do the whole thing
Yeah.
is like it's just that's I find that terrifying. I don't know if you do,
Yeah.
but
Oh
like
no, I do. And for a 100-mile race, like so much can go wrong. So to have like these like very high goals of course record and stuff like that, like so much can go wrong in 100 miles that
Mm.
like you have to have a perfect day for that to happen. So like whenever the race started, I like my goal was to just run my own race. I knew um there were at least two other women that had in mind the same goals that I kind of had in mind. So I was like, I can't run their race. I need to run my race. I just tried not to think about them, tried not to focus on them. And granted, I knew where they were at, and I was thinking about like how far behind them I was and things, but I feel like I really did run my own race, and I didn't
Mm.
let that affect me. So I know like going to Lower Pine Bottom, that's the first crewed aid station mile 18, I was 3 minutes behind the first place female. And then going to Hiner Run, which is the second crew aid station, mile 43, I picked up my pacer there. I was 5 minutes behind the first place female. So like I'd been running consistently behind her, and
Mm.
but my goal wasn't to catch her. Like I
Mm.
told my pacers knew Carrick was pacing me from 43 to 63, and his job was quite literally like in my nice long document I made for my crew and pacers, like his job was wherever we are at, if we are in striking distance, stay in striking distance, but don't strike. Like the goal was to just keep running my race because it was way too early to think about racing, like way too early. So his
Mm.
target for me as a pacer was just kind of to keep running my own race, stay where we were at. And that's exactly what we did. Um, and at some point, I passed the first place female. I don't know if she got off course or if she was using the bathroom, but I passed her. And then coming into Tomb Flats at mile 63, like people were going crazy. I was like, okay, like everybody's really hype. I'm the first place female coming in. Um, and then they were like, no, like you're the first runner that's come across the river. I was
Mm.
like my jaw dropped. I was like, I'm the first runner? Like, what do you mean I'm the first runner? They were like, yeah, you're the first runner that's come across. Like, my jaw literally dropped. I could not believe I was like leading Eastern States 100. And then Justina came, like, she was only a minute behind me. Like, she was right behind me. She came across, and then she actually left that aid station first, and I picked up my coach to pace me for the next section. And so I ran behind her for maybe like a mile and a half, and then I was like, "All right, you ready?" And he was like, "Yep, let's go." So then I just kind of made my move, and I still just kept running my race. Like my goal wasn't to like pass her too early and like burn myself out. I just like I felt confident in where I was at, and like I was still running my own pace, not like, oh, I'm excited, I want to get in front and I want to lead this race. Like, I felt like I was still running the pace that I needed to run. Um,
Mm.
so then I definitely did have to like hit that section hard though to build a gap because, if you're gonna make a move, you gotta make a move. You can't just
Right.
take that
Yes.
lightly.
You pass with
Um,
confidence.
yeah, so
You
we
don't linger.
definitely, yeah, we passed with confidence on that climb. And then I knew that section really well. It was like a pretty runnable section. So I was like, let's just like use this while we can. And I didn't realize how big of a gap I built up because I was in first place. Like we didn't know how far back second place was. So I got to Blackwell at mile
Oh, I'm sorry.
80.
Just
Oh,
yeah,
you're
sorry. I
good.
didn't mean
Yeah.
to
I
interrupt.
got to Blackwell at mile 80 and I picked up my last pacer and we headed out for the last 23 miles. And I just kept saying to her, she was a 16-year-old girl that I've kind of like taken under my wing.
Wow.
Um, and so that's why I wanted her to run me in because like I
Yeah.
really, really wanted her to be there for that. And I just kept saying to her, I was like, Abby, like this is hard, like, but we have to keep going. There's somebody 2 minutes behind us. Like, I really hope they don't catch up because I don't have much left. Like I'm giving everything I can. They're literally 2 minutes behind us. I can feel it. I was like, I can hear them. They're coming. I just like kept saying to her, like, we can't slow down now. And then like at the end, whenever we were on that last descent, like I still just like kept looking back and I was like, Abby, like we can't lose it now. Like we have to go. Like we can't lose this. Like we've been leading this race for over 40 miles. Um, and then coming down that last descent, whenever I saw the finish and you run through the field at the end, I was just like, we did it. Like I genuinely couldn't believe that I genuinely couldn't believe that we did it at the finish. Like I was still kind of in shock. Like I couldn't believe that I had just won Eastern States 100. Like quite literally won the whole race. Like I was in shock. And then everyone was like, "Yeah, the next person is over an hour behind you." And I was like, are you so for real? I've been running scared for 40 miles straight. But I feel like it was good though, because like if you're gonna break the course record, you wanna
Mm.
make it hard to beat, you know? I didn't want to just like beat it by a couple minutes. We wanted to
Yes.
set the bar very high, um, so that whenever the next person rolls up and breaks it, like I know they were working very hard to break it whenever that does happen. But it was an amazing day, and I feel like I really, really ran my own race. I didn't let competition or anything affect me at all in a negative way. And it was just a really good day, and I still can't believe that like I won Eastern States. That's crazy. Like it's crazy to say.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. So coming into so you had no idea coming into the as you were running how far behind the next runner was, or
Yeah,
and
no,
you
we had no clue because like after Tomb Flats, which was at mile 63, I had no clue how far back the next runner was at all
mm,
after that. So like I would like the whole beginning of the race, I feel like I was running in a better position being in second place because like I knew exactly how
yes.
far up the first place person was and like how far I had to go if I was maintaining, if I was losing, I was running in a better position. So I feel like running in first place, like you don't have that advantage. So I feel like I just kind of had to make the best of it and it probably helped me run a faster time though because I was running scared.
Mhm.
Um, because when I was with my coach from mile 63 to 80, he was like, I know it's still early, but like I need you to start envisioning what it would feel like to cross the finish line as first overall because I need you to like that's what's going to get us to the finish as fast as possible. And he was like,
Mm,
I need you to start thinking about that because
Mm.
that was never a thought I had before. Like, if I was picturing like perfect Eastern States finishes before, it was like a first place women's finish. Like there was never any thought of me
yeah,
winning
because
outright.
nobody's ever won that race. No
Yeah.
woman's ever won that race outright.
Yeah. Yeah, like it was never even a thought in my head. Like I don't think it
Mm,
was a thought in anyone's head
Mm.
until I came across that river in first place. And I like it was crazy.
So were you
mm.
looking like you also broke the record? Were you looking at your watch to was that a factor or was it more like I want to win? I mean, were you motivated by the time toward the end or you just were not focused on that or
I knew so like going in, it was more like into the race, it was more
yeah.
about like the time that I wanted to run.
Mm.
But at the end, I knew I knew how much time I had. Like I knew that basically as long as I didn't fall over and break something, that I was going to break the women's course record. So
Okay.
I wasn't really focused on that. At the end, I was just focused on the person that was 2 minutes behind me that
Right.
didn't actually exist, but I swore they did exist. So I was more focused on like winning at the end, and that was kind of like driving me because I knew, like, I mean, I was almost an hour and a half of the women's course record, so I
Yeah.
was like, it was just at that point, it was like how big can I make that gap
Okay.
versus like, oh, I gotta run really fast, like I'm cutting it close to breaking that.
Did other people know how far the second place was behind you or did they keep like did they not tell you on purpose or did nobody like it I don't know
Um,
the cell service or whatever like is it
y-
hard to know what's happening out there?
it is so the crewed aid stations are so far apart. So
Mhm.
like the last time I saw my crew was at mile 80, and then
Okay.
I didn't see my crew until the finish. So like the cell service there is pretty much non-existent,
Mm.
but even then like going through the last couple aid stations, it's like they couldn't even really tell me how far back the
Mm.
next
Yeah.
runner was. So like
Because
I'm sure
they're
if
there waiting for the runners, right? And
yeah,
then you show up
exactly. Yeah.
the next
Yeah.
person. I'm sure that they're like, well, okay, she's just ahead. She's like, okay, an hour and a half,
Yeah,
ahead or whatever. So,
it's like you have about 9 miles left to catch up to her. She's
mm,
probably actually finishing right about now, but good luck. Yeah,
yeah,
so yeah, nobody really knew how, like, as I was going into the aid stations, nobody knew how far ahead I was. So I was,
Oh.
gotcha. Kaylee,
yeah.
what was the weather like?
Hot,
Yeah,
very
like,
humid, like for like all day, like from the start at 5 in the morning, the humidity was crazy. Like normally during Eastern, like it gets humid, but you have a couple hours at least where it's not super
mm-hmm,
humid. But it was from the start, like I feel like I don't usually like I sweat a lot, but like it's not like my shorts will ever be like dripping, but by like mile 4, like my shorts were wet. Like it was
mm,
disgusting. Like it was so hot and I feel like everybody was sweating so much.
mm.
And
So,
then
do you
all
remember
night
what the
too.
temperature was actually? Did you see what the high was
Um
for the day?
It was in
Just
the
to kind of give people
80s.
an
Yeah,
idea.
I don't know. It
Mm-hmm.
was it was like upper 70s, I believe, was like the start, and then during the night it didn't really drop below upper 70s, I don't
Mm,
think. And so peak heat, off the top of my head, I would guess it was like 85, 86. Um
mm, mm-hmm.
that's just my
But
guess.
not
I could be
but
wrong.
not a Western desert heat, right?
Oh, no, this is like high humidity, like
Mm,
the humidity was insane this year. I feel like it hurt a lot of runners. Like a lot of people were not trained for that.
So it's yeah, I think it's important to note that the finishing rate, and some you can correct me here or fine tune it. I think it was like was it 45% or 42%, something somewhere around there?
45% finishing rate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, finishing
Wow.
rate, not DNF rate, finishing rate.
Yeah.
So most people didn't even finish, and you set a course, you
By
set the course
Yeah.
record
by
there.
not a minute, by an hour and
Yeah,
a half.
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
this year was actually like a very slow year at Eastern. Like, and it's not because there wasn't good competition. Like if you look at the runners that were there and that were running, if you
Hmm.
look at them in previous years, like they put up some very fast, like very respectable times. But just like as a whole, it's like almost like everyone was shifted like an hour and a half backwards, like an hour and a half slower. And again, not
Oh,
because,
gotcha.
yeah, like not because the competition wasn't there. Like it was there. The field was still very strong. It's just I don't know if it was the heat that hurt everybody or what it was, but I somehow was like, nope, we're not doing it. I'm still gonna run.
Mm. Now, did you see any? The course is famous for rattlesnakes. I had a friend, Sherry Bilby, friend of the podcast. She ran it, and she got wasn't able to finish, but she said that she saw two rattlers during her run.
I
Did you happen to see
saw,
any? Or
yeah, I saw one,
mm-hmm,
only like 2 miles from the end,
mm-hmm.
just one. But
Okay.
actually, that final descent is it's like a mile up about from the finish. There's a rattlesnake den and
Mm,
it is very, very active. I saw some pictures and videos from like the people in the morning that would have been like going down like in the daytime on that descent,
mm.
and they were very, very active this year. Like it was
So,
those videos were scary. That
so does that freak you out at all, or no? Or like, is that like because you're like,
I feel
nope,
like
this depends. I'm used to seeing
yeah.
them.
Yeah, no, rattlesnakes definitely freak me out. They make me nervous that because like they just kind of lay across the trail and like even the one that I came across like you kind of like stop dead in your tracks and jump backwards because like you're running and then you're like, oh crap, like that's not a rock, that's
Yeah.
not a stick. It's definitely
Yes.
very startling to come up on them. And then like you can't do anything. Like a lot of times you scare them, so they're gonna like be coiled up and angry. Um,
Yeah.
and you're not going to walk in front of them, you're not going to walk over them, so like you kind of, depending on where they're at on the trail, sometimes you literally just have to stand and wait and like wait until they move. And that's like what Abby and I had to do when we were running. And I was like looking at my watch. I was like, I'm standing here waiting for this rattlesnake to move, and that runner is getting closer to me right now. I was like, they were two
That's
minutes
right.
behind me, and now they're only a minute behind me. Like, that was genuinely what I was thinking. But I was like, I can't be getting bit by a rattlesnake 2 miles from the finish. Like,
I hate when that happens, you know? Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
So Abby, I
Jeez.
mean, she'll never forget this moment. Like it's so awesome that, you're kind of taking her under your wing and, sort of she'll be like, I don't know, protege is the right word, but um like I think that's so cool that wanted her to be part of your finish. And I don't know, you're going to be really inspirational to a lot of young women. It's very cool.
Oh, that's definitely the goal. I
Yeah.
was definitely a little bit nervous to have Abby, not because I didn't trust her. Like, she's a great runner. I really, like, I had no doubts that she was going to, like, keep up and do a really good job. It's just that I know that I oftentimes work better with, like, men. Just, I don't know why. I just generally do if I'm, like, in a dark spot. It's just, like, that's how my brain works. But like she genuinely did such a good job at pacing me, and like I'm so glad that she was there, and I'm very, very glad that like we got to do that together. And I feel bad because I didn't really talk much. I was not a very like enjoyable runner, I'm sure, to be around, but I did warn her. I was like, there's a chance that I don't speak because like I'm just like so focused. And so she was really good about it,
Mm.
and she kept talking, which is what I needed. Like
Mm.
I was
Mm.
like, I need you to talk to me, and I'm not gonna answer you. I'm not gonna respond because like I can't. I'm like so focused, but I need you to talk so that my brain can't get sad, and like I need
Mm.
just a distraction. So she
Mm.
was like exactly what I needed, and she did such a great job. And I'm just very glad she got to be there and be a
Yeah.
part of it. Like she's been at that race a couple times. Like she's paced her dad a lot of times at Eastern States. Um, so I feel like she was comfortable with the course and everything, and I'm really glad she got to see it from like another end because her dad doesn't often like compete. He just is oftentimes there to like get the race done, and he's still a great runner and everything, but I'm glad that she kind of got to be a part of it on a very different end. And
Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, hopefully, she'll have her, own running career too. But like, can you imagine your pacer resume, and you get to say like, I paced Kaylee Frederick to a
Yeah.
overall win. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
that's
just
a pretty cool one, I
it's
feel
super
like.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. What can you just for people who aren't familiar, who haven't been there, like, what's the terrain like, and like, how do you feel about it? Do you love that? Do you like that terrain? Like, I mean, you go from, Badwater and 24-hour like to this terrain, like Art was saying, like you really are so multidisciplinary and so excellent. It's
Mm.
incredible. But yeah,
Thank
like, what do
you.
you think of, like, what's this race like? Just like, I can't even remember how much gain is there. It's like a lot.
21,000 feet of vert over
Yeah.
103 miles in the Pennsylvania wilds. And
Yeah.
it is technical terrain. Like there are some like very, very rocky sections. There's a lot of like roots and stuff. I feel like rocks is the main thing that's up there that makes it so difficult. And obviously all the climbing. Like you get some runnable stuff, but even the runnable stuff, like it's not like you're on a nice double track, flowy gravel road. It's like even on the runnable stuff, you still have to be paying attention because if you don't pay attention, you're gonna trip up and you're gonna fall over.
Mm.
So it's like your brain never gets a break. Like you have to constantly be focused on what you're doing and where you're stepping. It's not an easy race. It is the hardest
Gotcha.
race I've ever done.
So what tell us about the rocks specifically, like if you could describe them, because rocks can be either boulders or they can be like marbles or they can be sharp or rounded or what are you dealing with?
I feel like Eastern, it's not like boulder fields like you'll
Hmm.
get at like Frozen Snot or Ironstone, but it's just a ton of rocks that like there's times where it's like just coating the whole trail, so you are literally jumping, like you're rock hopping. And then there's other times it's just like they're just everywhere. They are
Mm,
literally everywhere. And they're annoying, and if you kick one and you're already 90 miles in, it hurts really bad and it makes you angry because your feet
mm,
hurt and then you kick a rock and then your feet hurt even more. And it's just not
mm.
very nice. Like, there's too many rocks out there.
The rocks aren't nice.
They are not nice, especially after 90 miles in. They are really not nice.
Oh my gosh. Jeez. And you do this like I understand you don't listen to music at all, right?
Correct. No music.
Gotcha. All right. Even on the like the track, the looped races and stuff like that, you don't.
Yeah, no music.
You just kind of work best without. Is that right? Or
Yeah, I like being able to feel the things and kind of like stay in touch with my body and my brain.
hmm
Like I run so much to like process what happens in life and process what's going through my
mm,
brain, and music is a happy distraction. And I don't need a happy distraction. I need to process the real shit that's going on in my head.
yeah.
So,
That
Yeah,
is
that's
so,
yeah.
that's so true. I went years and years and never listened to music. And then um s started listening, So and I don't know if it's I don't think it I have to say I don't think it helped me like somehow. I think that when I'm not, I think that I'm able to concentrate, I have ADHD, so I think like the music, sometimes it'll get me going, um,
mm,
and I enjoy it, but I don't know if it's necessarily good for my running specifically. So
Yeah,
that's
I haven't.
that's
I
interesting.
think we talked about this with Liz, right? About music, and um,
Mm,
I will do. Not that I've been doing speed workouts, but when I do them, I would listen to music. But I basically don't listen to music any other point in time. Um, yeah, I think for me, it's like a novelty thing. Like if I'm hearing something I never heard before, I find it very distracting. Like you said, it's
mm,
like a distraction from the thing that I'm like wanting to focus on. So it is interesting
mm.
to hear about different people's relationship with music. It like obviously is dependent on the type of music, if it's sort of something generic that's sort of like in the background, then that's one thing. But if it's a song, or if it's a song you're like really familiar with and you don't have to think about, that's another thing versus like new music that you never heard before. Like I just mentioned, I find it really interesting. But
Kaylee, do you get music in your head though, or no?
yeah, there's definitely times like I'll have a song stuck in my head and I'll just be like singing it in my head.
Yes.
And it is a nice little distraction whenever I get there, but like I feel like that's how it is with a lot of things. Like I'll get stuck on certain things in my head.
Mm,
And then
hmm
I'll be thinking about that for a couple miles, and then I'll think about something else for a couple miles, like whatever comes up.
Yeah. You're right, but the solving problems on a run is a great, is a great thing to do. And yeah, I definitely get the music in my head, and it's for me it's really interesting is that most of the time it's it starts out as a welcome friend, as a welcome thing. But for me, the music can also start to um, drive me nuts as I'm out there running sometimes, So we used to have something called the Cultra karaoke hotline where people could call up, uh, sing a song that's stuck in their head, and then we would play the song on the podcast. So um, we used to
Hmm.
do that. So the number got expired, the number got turned back and I can't seem to get it back. So, um,
But you'll give out your cell phone number, right, Art? And so people can
Yes, I
call
will. That's
you
right.
if they're feeling
Yes.
like they need to do that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but people could always record it on their phone and then send us,
Hmm.
if you wanted to send us a song that you sang, we would play it on the air. So, if that would help their, you're running out there, any of our listeners. Um, so let's see. So tell us about the Pennsylvania Triple Crown. So I saw there was just an announcement that which Eastern States was part of. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, the PA Triple Crown is whenever you run Higher 50K, World's End 100K, and Eastern States 100, all in the same calendar year. So, like, three of Pennsylvania's hardest races, all
Hmm.
back to back to back. Um, it's interesting. It's a very hard series. Very hard to finish all three, but it was good. It was a fun time.
And are there
Very
point
good.
like you get a points and then do you get points based on your finishes or
So they like add up your cumulative times to
yeah.
find like king and queen, which is just the fastest male and fastest female. And this year I was the queen of the mountain and I was actually the fastest person by about 4.5 hours. I was faster than the
Whew.
fastest man, which is
Oh, yeah.
crazy. That's crazy.
Well done.
But
Yeah.
I think that definitely all just came down to Eastern States though, because it was Jesse Stoffer was king of the mountain and he's a great runner. He beat me at Heiner and he was first place overall at World's End and I came in second place to him. So all the time I made up was at Eastern States.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha, gotcha. Well, congratulations on it. Has that ever happened to your knowledge where a woman has won that overall?
I don't believe so. I don't think that's happened.
Okay, very good. Well,
Yeah.
congratulations on,
Amazing.
nice job with that as well.
Thank
Um,
you.
so I noticed that I saw you post something, and I think I have the words right. It says, "I do not exist just to die." Is that if that's right, right? I thought maybe I wondered if you could kind of just tell us what that philosophy is, if that's a good way to describe it.
Yeah, I feel like recently in the past like year or so, I'm like a different human than I was like 3 years ago. I feel like I've grown a lot
Hmm.
like as a person and like mentally and kind of like becoming this different Kaylee that doesn't just exist to die. I feel like so
Mm.
many people in life are just going about life and they go to work every day and they go home and they go to bed and then they wake up and go to work in the morning and that's kind of like all they do with life. Like all they're doing is surviving and they're just here and they're surviving and then one day they're gonna die. But like I've been trying very hard to like I want to live my life and I want to go see things and I want to do things and I want to do really hard stuff and I want to hopefully inspire a lot of people and I want to see as many places in this whole great big world as I can. So like I feel like I want to actually live in life. I don't just want to survive and be here until I die. I don't want to just take up space and be a body. I want to actually have a reason that I'm alive and I want to have a reason to die. Like I want to have a reason to have lived and like whenever I do die, I want to be like, "Oh, like I'm okay with this. Like I did a lot in my life
Mm.
and I don't have any regrets. Like I don't want to die like thinking about all the stuff I wish I would have done." Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wish I went to New Zealand, right?
Exactly. Like
Wish I
what
ran
what
135 miles in the desert, right? A couple times.
exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly.
Do you have
Well, it
like oh
no,
go
go
on,
ahead.
Art? I was gonna say, do you have like a running list of sort of goals? Do you write these things down or are you very aware of them or is it more of a whatever, moment by moment kind of thing? Like have you written down, I want to do these races, or is it more of a let's just play up a year kind of situation?
Um, I feel like it is very fluid. Like, there's a ton of races I want to do. Like, I have a lot of goal races, but it's not like I
Mm,
don't have it like this year I'm gonna do this
Yeah.
race. This year I'm gonna do this race. Like, it's pretty fluid, like when I'll get there, but I definitely have a lot of things on my list that I want to get to.
mm,
But I also know that, I mean, hopefully I don't die tomorrow, but if I died tomorrow, I'd be okay with it. Like
Yeah.
I know that in
Don't do
my
that.
20, yeah, hopefully I won't. But like I feel like to know if you've lived a good life, like if you're okay with dying at any given point, like not that I'm okay with dying. I don't want to die. I
yes.
don't want to come off like that. But like I feel like if I died, I would die and I would leave this world knowing that I did everything I could. Like
Hmm.
in my 21 years, I have jam-packed it as much as I possibly could.
Very good. Yeah, I mean that's um there's a lot of people out there who like claim to be inspiring or like overinflate that, and you kind of quietly go about your stuff, but then also kind of you know what, just kind of like share what it's like to do things that scare you, um
Yeah, I feel like I want to be like, I mean, I would love to be a professional runner one day, and I want to get my story out there to like be able to inspire people, but
mm,
I always want to be, I feel like nowadays with social media and stuff, like it's not real life, but like I feel like even if I would one day become a professional and like have a following on social media and stuff, like I want to be authentic. Like I don't want to just write what people want to see. Like I want to
correct.
write it as
What?
it is. Like
Yeah, right on. That's
yeah.
why, that's why I think it's always very difficult with social media and things like that. To be honest, that's one of the things that I like least about doing the podcast, is that like you do have to let people know that you're out there, right? So there is a bit of promotion from that. And I think that if you're trying to make a living off of it, certainly there's you're in endorsing different products and things like that, and hopefully those are a good fit, like so maybe you could talk about Mount to Coast, right? How's that? And we've certainly talked to the people over there, and I love those guys. But like, what's your experience been with them?
I really like Mount Coast, and I'm not just saying that because I'm supposed to say that. Like,
Yeah.
I really do like their shoes, and I really like everything they stand for. There's not a lot of companies and shoe companies out there that are just targeted at specifically ultra runners because I mean there's not a ton of money in the sport. Like if you look at like Nike and stuff, like they're making fast marathon shoes and things like that
Hmm.
where they're going to get a wider target and they're going to hit more athletes. But Mount the Coast is very much made for the runners who transcend distance. Like that's one of their big things. And it's really cool that there's a company out there that believes in ultra enough to specialize in shoes made for ultra runners. So that's that's really cool, I feel like. And I really like that they stand for that. And they've been like really supportive of me and everything I've been doing. So it's been like great getting to like partner with them and work with them.
Yeah, very good, very good. Um, all right. Anna, do you have any, because I know Kaylee, it's getting to be late there, right? It's getting to be,
Yeah.
I guess, like a little bit after 11 now. So Anna, did you have any closing arguments?
Yeah, I was thinking about when you're talking about inspiring other people. I just wanted to say the very cool thing about this sport is that inspiration, it doesn't rely on like being in a similar generation or anything like that, or like doing similar distances or anything like that, because, Kaylee, I'm like way older than you. but I find you very inspiring, and I think that's the one of the best things about, again, this like community. I'm not going to do the things that you do, but I still feel like I'm relating to what you're saying. I mean, I think you're very relatable. You're very authentic, like you said. And I just wanted to let you know, like you're impacting Abby, right? Who's 16, and you're impacting Anna, who's like mid 50s. It's super awesome. I just wanted to thank you for that. And I'm really excited to like follow you super, really closely now because I mean, again, I had heard your name and I knew who you were a few years ago from First and Snot, but like you're entering like a new trajectory and it's really cool. So thank you
Mm.
for all the insights tonight. I feel like we really traveled a lot of different places, like emotional and athletic too. But and I think I'm excited for your time in New Zealand. Enjoy it. I've been there many moons ago and gosh, it's like gorgeous country, right? So I hope you have a great
Yeah.
time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess I'm doing my job then if I'm inspiring someone.
Yes, that's what I'm
Guess
trying to
it's
say. Yeah,
working.
it
Yeah.
Yes,
is working.
yes.
And it's just feels really natural, So
Yeah. Yeah, Kaylee, I want to thank you for sharing today. Not only your running story, but your personal story, as Anna mentioned. It's one of the things just to, like that I'm just blown away by, like, is that the 20s are like a section, traditionally that section of life where you start to figure your shit out. Like, but most people are like at the early 20s, they're not even thinking that like I have any shit to figure out or that I need to do any of that. So, um, you know, uh, not that it's my job to do this, but I kind of feel like if nobody's told you, like, you're doing a hell of a job, in life, and keep it, it's really, it sounds like you're really on the right path there, and you've already accomplished a lot. um I wanted to ask you, like, and this starts to sound like one of those corny questions, but I still want to see if we can talk about it. So the 6-year-old Kaylee and the 7-year-old Kaylee, like, um when you were that age, like, did you have any inkling? I know that you wanted to be an Olympian, and that young child, Kaylee, like, do you, how would she, what do you think she would say about, the way things have turned out?
I don't really think she would believe it. Even definitely not like 6-year-old Kaylee. Like if I told her like we're we might actually make it in this whole world of running. Like she wouldn't believe you, and that's even if you told 16-year-old Kaylee that, even 10 years after I got into running, like if you told 16-year-old Kaylee like in how many years is that? Like 6 years, whatever that math is. Um
Mm,
you're going to actually be like a competitive runner. You're going to compete at the national and international level. You're going to win races outright as a female. Like even just a couple years ago, I never would have believed you that. I could
mm,
have developed into this person that I am today that is mentally where I'm at, and physically like the performances that I could put down. And I just think it's so cool that like I know that 6-year-old Kaylee would be proud of 21-year-old Kaylee because there's times that 21-year-old Kaylee is proud of 21-year-old Kaylee. So I know for a fact
mm.
that 6-year-old me would be too, which is
Yeah,
crazy.
very good, very good. Wow.
what a way to
Well,
start the day. I mean, right, Art?
oh
Like,
my God, like, yeah, I mean,
it's
it
amazing. We
really
got to do
is.
this all the time.
I know, I know. Look, the sun, when we started, there was no
Yeah,
sunlight behind me, and
right,
now, like,
right.
we can see the sun on the mountains behind me. So,
Yeah.
um, you know, Kaylee, it was so nice to talk to you. I hope you come back and come back and visit with us again. Hopefully, maybe at 5 o'clock in the morning, even. Maybe we'll get a new tradition going here. Anna, thank you for waking up at 4:30 to do this as well.
Oh, my pleasure. Like this was amazing. So I'm really so glad to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Art, for
Yeah,
Yeah.
organizing. Thank you,
thank you
Kaylee.
both for
Yeah.
being so flexible for me. I appreciate it.
Oh, not it's our pleasure. So,
Yeah.
for all of our listeners out there, first of all, I want to thank all the Patreons. As you guys know, we are 112% listener supported. So, we really appreciate the support that you give. And to all of our listeners, if you've made it this far, of course, seek professional help. And we will see you all in a mile.
Mile and a half.
All right. All right. We did it.
We did it.
I'm just glad that I woke up this morning.
I know it's early. I appreciate y'all. It's like either it's like it's so annoying because either it's like my really early and your midday. So if you have a job like a regular hours
Uh,
job, that doesn't work. Or like my late night and your very early morning. So
No, no, it definitely worked. I used to wake up at this time every, four or five times a week to go running. When my kids were
yeah.
young, I would meet my friends at 5 a.m., and I'd have to drive to get there. So, and to go for a run. So
Yeah, I think
this,
yeah.
if you had a group of people on a podcast that like we're kind of like your ideal podcast, right? To get up at
mm.
4:30 in
Yeah,
the morning.
exactly. Yeah,
Oh
exactly.
yeah,
You know
yeah.
what that's like.
Anna, it's not like a stretch for her to
Yeah,
like wake up at
right.
5. Like I haven't seen the sunrise. It's like, I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
But yeah, you're probably getting sleepy now because also you
yes.
just ran 100 miles last
Yeah.
weekend. Let's
Yes.
just
Yeah,
say,
I
yeah.
remember.
The jet lag is still very real over
Yeah.
here.